blowing.
Wet and cold and windy.
Big one time before the weekend, I sat by the fire. That was all I wanted to do. Someday hot chocolate.
Yep, sounds good.
Best Buy, but I got a discount because the kids work there, so I got a discount. I said, well, how much was that? $10,000. Check in. Hey, what do you think about this? So since you're the one that stays home with the son, you're going out there every day, and I work.
Gosh, 8 seconds over. Invocation.
Let us pray. Good and gracious God, we thank you for the blessing of this day. We thank you for bringing us together for this city council meeting as we discuss the issues and respond to the needs that can benefit the city of Concordia and our citizens. I pray for our mayor, for the various levels of city officials, and in particular for this assembled council. I am asking that you would graciously grant them wisdom to govern amid the conflicting interests and issues of our times, a sense of the welfare and true needs of our people, confidence in what is good and fitting, and personal peace in their lives and joy in their task. I pray for the agenda set before them this evening. May you guide all in their thoughts, words, and deeds. It is in your most blessed name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Father.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Any adjustments to the agenda? And then we'll move on to the approval of the minutes, October 3rd, 2018 meeting.
Move to approve the minutes of the October 3rd, 2018 meeting.
A motion by Chuck. Do we have a second?
Second.
A second by Keaton. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Financial matters, appropriation ordinance 19.
I move to approve appropriation order number 19.
I have a motion by Mark. Do I have a second?
I second.
I have a second by Christie. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Approved. Public comments. I guess I'm supposed to read this. This is the time where citizens are encouraged to speak publicly. We request that you come to the podium, state your name and address, speak respectively, whatever that means, and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Yes, sir.
My name is Michael Wallmeyer, 707 East 4th Street here in Concordia, and I coach tennis at the high school. And so I just wanted to bring forward two things to the council, and first of all, to thank the city for the use of the tennis courts. They, we've had a great success and a great partnership with the city. Anytime I need anything done, one phone call and it's done most of the time before we get out for practice that day. I know there was one time we showed up for an event and the nets on the lower court were completely down, and within minutes there was a crew up there to fix the nets for us, and it's very much appreciated. So the entire staff that you guys have running the parks, we appreciate that from them. The second thing just to bring up for you guys to be aware of is that the courts are getting in bad shape, especially I would say the top three. They're they're closest to the pool, I guess, on the west end. So that's something that we might need to look at and consider. I also wanted you to know that there's a process through the United States Tennis Association that for grants that are available for stuff like that. They will help with the process and kind of guide us in that if that is something we want to look forward or look towards. I will have more information for you. I've just kind of started this process talking to some other coaches. Smoky Valley has a wonderful program, and they both of them have have gone through this process, and so they've been great people to talk to and kind of guide me in this. So I just wanted you to be aware of that, and if it's, you know, something that I don't need to waste time on because I know money is tight, I won't. But there are several, I think, opportunities out there for us to take advantage of for help with the money. So
That would be good. Any information on that, provide Amy, would really appreciate it.
okay, I think that's one thing I did need was a contact person at the city. So
That'd be our city manager.
all right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? If not, we'll move on to old business, economic development update. Cloud County
Sam,
Co-op.
second. Okay.
I think we have one more guest.
Oh,
If you want to. Sure.
don't be bashful.
I tell you what, I sing in front of always a lot of people. Why I can't talk in front of people, I don't know.
I promise you, I stand up there with her so she wouldn't be.
So wonder she didn't want to come up.
Anyway, my name is Marilyn Pierce, and I live at 212 West 18th Street. And I have a signed petition. I believe you probably received my letter last week. And this is what the petition says. This is a signed petition by concerned citizens and homeowners about the new cement and widened West 18th Street. It has become a speedway. There has been no respect for traffic rules or regulations. And we feel that something needs to be done as soon as possible before someone gets hurt. And now we have at the end of the way on 81, the old Taco John's has got a new Mexican food place, and I could see somebody getting smacked down there. And also, Mr. Palmquist is here to tell you that the four-way stop by the Pleasant Hill Cemetery, they're not regarding that as stop sign at all. They're just driving right through it. So not only are we contending with the top of the hill, driving through the stop signs, but they are now racing down. We saw 4 cars the other day, one after another, speeding down. I bet they were going 80 down past my house. And not only that, they're blowing smoke, they're laying rubber, and they're just being a menace. This is happening from 3:30 in the morning, all day and all night, when kids get off at the college. But it isn't just college kids, it's grown-ups too. They're just thinking it's a regular speedway. So we've really got a problem, guys. And there's 20 signatures that I'm going to present to you that I told you I promised to get you of my neighbors down both of West 18th and also 17th Street and also 19th. There are children that are told not to even go on 18th Street with bicycles or walking because they're afraid for their life. And that's my petition. I told you I promised to get to you.
And this is a street that has no sidewalks,
Exactly.
correct? Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And Mr. Palmquist can also tell you, he sees a lot at the top of the hill. Well, I'm in the middle of the block, and it's terrible. Just a color, just a black is how fast they're going. So, Mark Henry was helping us before his demise, and then of course you know what happened there. But anyway, I want you to do something if you can.
It will be looked into. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you very
Marilyn.
much.
Sir?
I'm Paul McGuire, work for the city, and I can attest for what she's talking about because I live up there in the 100 block of 19th Street, and I too have serious issues with people just running up and down the streets as fast as they can go. And I've got stop signs up at the corner by my place, but they don't, a lot of times they don't regard that either. They just blow right through them, and So just to reiterate what she's saying, this is happening and it is a problem. And we do have some littler kids that run around up there and they can't even go out hardly and play or anything because people are just driving like idiots.
The newspaper children, the kids are also scared. What's going to happen? Thank you.
Thank you both.
You're welcome.
Any other comments? Are we sure? Okay. Okay, moving on to old business.
Hello, everyone. The Cloud County Commissioners had asked me to take a review of the contract between Cloud County Co-op and yourselves and Cloud County for the purchase of the Alco building. So I went ahead and put together a memo for them and presented it to them, but since you all are partners, I thought you might want to hear where you are on that contract as well. So just an update, and sorry if you remember all of this, but some of you weren't on the commission at that time. So in 2015, two sellers and a buyer entered into an agreement for the sale of the Alco building. And the agreement was $150,000 was the sale price for the building. And the first payment of $5,000 was due at the time the contract was signed and that payment was presented. And then a payment of $5,000 was then due on the 10th day of January 16, 17, 18, 19. When I had called Mark Paul and asked him about the payments because I knew it was easier for them to go through their books than for the county and the city to run back through and see who the payments were made to. It was found that it had inadvertently been forgotten. And he did find an email sent to the city manager at the time asking about how that payment should be made to the city or the county. And there wasn't a response at the time, and they didn't get billed for it. It was something when he found out about it, immediately he took care of it. And so they cut a check, $10,000 to the city, $10,000 to the county, so that way you didn't have to do a split. And that pays them up for the entirety of the rest of the contract through 2019. The agreement also states that for the first year, the property should be improved with overhead doors, docks, and an updated office area and restroom facilities. And so they have gone through two major renovations already. So the first renovation, and you probably all saw that when they did the grand opening of Purina, was to add a couple offices and some bathrooms, and then to do the major renovations in the actual storage area, overhead doors and such. So they had that one complete. And then this year, late last year and this year, they did a second round of renovations, and if you haven't been out there, you should. They did a major conference room that seats around 50 people, a kitchen area attached to that conference room, and then two kind of more public bathrooms, so that area can be completely shut off and then used for various functions. But it really does help the co-op, as they start expanding, come into that bigger company mindset where they're going to have space for things like that and for training. So we were happy to see them do those renovations. So in total, the renovations have been $626,000. They are going to do another round of renovations, they're hoping, and that is to work on the facade. So that will be really nice to see that portion completed. The third portion of the contract, sorry, I'm trying to get that there, was on employment. So in Section 2E2, the agreement outlines the employment goals and levels, and it outlines that there needs to be 4,160 hours of employment directly in connection with the enterprise on the real estate in years 2016 and 2017. And that equates to 2 employees. Well, they definitely met that in 2016 and 2017. And then it needed to jump up to 12,480 hours in years 2018 and 2019. Now, the employment is connected to the enterprise happening within the building. And so they, with their new renovations, they are able to move employees. They wanted to put everyone together instead of having 3 separate locations or 2 separate locations. And so they actually have 8 employees out there. So they've exceeded their goals in 2018 and plan to have the same amount of employees in 2019. So if these points were all met, the final payment of $125,000 shall be forgiven at the end of 2019. Well, we're not there quite yet, but in our estimation, at this point in time, should they maintain that same level of employees, they have met the terms of their contract. But we will come back to you at the end of 2019 and give you a rundown. But it is worth noting, too, that they pay full property taxes immediately, and that valuation is only increasing with every single renovation that they do. It also, I think, has had a really positive impact on that side of town. For their surrounding businesses will tell you that, Walmack, Chevy, that it has had a really nice impact on traffic flow. Any questions for me?
I'm just glad the commissioners asked for a review, otherwise some money might have just kept
Yeah.
going and not being paid.
And I stress it completely inadvertent. They just hadn't received a bill for it, and
Well, I mean, it wasn't their fault. I
Sure.
mean, we never billed them.
sure, but right. But they took care of it immediately. So, judge of good character is what happens when you were presented a problem. They took care of it immediately. So, any other questions?
Good community stewards.
They are.
Thanks, Ashley.
Sure thing.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, moving on to new business, the approval of the court software purchase.
I'm going to attempt to talk about court software, and if I mess up, I'm hoping Amber will rescue me here. So, for about 10 years or so, the city's been talking about updating their court software. So we use that software to input information that happens when law enforcement goes and gives somebody a ticket. They put it in there, then they're able to produce everything from receipts to the information that they need to process stuff for court paperwork. Again, I don't understand it in detail, but that's kind of how we use it. Right now, that software does not talk with our accounting software, and so there has to be a double entry process used. Well, any auditor will tell you that if you have to re-enter numbers twice, there's going to be potential for error doing that manually. We want to reduce that potential for error. Additionally, the help desk support has not been satisfactory. We've had to wait a significant amount of time. You'll see in your memo some calls up to a couple of weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, to get a return call for help, and that's not acceptable in our opinion in any level of customer service. I don't think that would be acceptable for any business around here either. Finally, we have to report some of our statistics to the KBI, and this software does not talk directly with KBI software where we have to do the upload. So we've been sending them manual reports, hard copy reports, and then KBI has to re-enter that information manually. We received a letter this year saying that they were no longer going to accept that beginning in January. We just had to figure out a solution. We've talked with the company that we use to see if they're interested in creating an interface for us to help us out. They're a Nebraska-based company. They don't care what the KBI does. They have no interest in creating that upgrade or that interface. So we do need to do something. We were pretty well ready to pull the trigger and go this summer, and then our server failed here, as you're well aware. Fortunately, insurance did pay for a portion of that, so we are very thankful for that, and that allowed us to keep those funds available in the Computer Equipment Reserve Fund. So we do have the money available this year to go ahead and pay for the software. So tonight we're asking for your approval of that purchase so we can go ahead and get things rolling. And I think it'll take about 3 to 4 months to actually get it implemented and started up and ready to use. So we may still have a little bit of delay with the KBI. We'll work through that, but we do want to get it going as quickly as possible. Are there any questions? Yes, sir.
So it's more than just court software. It's really for law enforcement and court, the whole process.
As I understand it, law enforcement has to use a separate input database that talks a little bit separate, and you have to have special certifications to use that. But they do, I don't know that they access our software, but they need to be able to see the reports and stuff that are generated out of it. So,
Okay.
yeah. Does that make sense? Kind of, sort of?
I think so.
Chuck, this software, it takes care of a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff that we need to do. And actually, this company, Tyler, is also the company that most, if not all of us, use now at the district court level. As well, the e-filing system that is going to be, the new e-filing system the state is implementing is also with Tyler. So Tyler kind of has cornered the market when it comes to the software for all of the courts and stuff like that. So they're a good company.
Well, actually, since the KBI won't accept paper after January 1st, this is something we have to do.
Yeah, that's not.
Yeah, this is not a, yeah,
We've got to do it, and this is a good place to do it.
doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, as of July 1st of this year, all cases, no matter what they were, have to be e-filed as well. So we're going paperless pretty quick. So.
Yeah, okay.
I move to purchase, for the purchase of the court software for $15,373 from Tyler.
I have a motion by Mark. Do we have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Chuck and Keaton. Any further discussions? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Next, the approval of the camera car rebuild.
I'm going to put on my utilities director hat here in Jeremy's absence.
You don't have full, you're not gonna show us old footage, are you? Okay.
We've seen plenty of footage over the years.
Probably.
Way more than.
So the utilities department does use a camera car. We were kind of joking about what it looks like, and then actually found out that it looks a lot like a remote control car that you would picture with a camera on top. And it drives through the sewer lines. It helps the guys to determine exactly what problems are, to pinpoint their exact location, exactly what they are, so they know how best to fix them without tearing up somebody's yard more than what needs to be. So that's very, very good. These are an expensive vehicle, an expensive camera system, and ours has finally failed. We did some upgrades and repairs on it a few years ago, and had some leaky seals. Sewage got into it, ruined the guts of it. We have to do some major repairs on it to replace the car part of it. I think we can reuse the camera on it, so that would be a good thing. But the repairs are in the range of about $9,100 to be able to do this, compared to replacement of the full vehicle, which is around the $75,000 range. So we definitely think that going the repair route is the best route for us. We think we can get a lot more life out of it. And this has definitely been a good tool to use. Paul's still here. If you have any specific questions about its usage or what they need it for, I'm going to defer to him to answer those questions.
9 is always better than 75.
Is there any estimate as to how much longer we will be able to use this
I
piece
think
of equipment?
Jeremy had told me that it was, I want to say
They said
15.
we could get several years
I think the original car is in the 15 to 20 year range. I mean, we did a camera upgrade a few years ago, so pretty long life.
They said that we could get probably several years out of this car again, because the upgrade they're going to do to it now is going to be basically a new car. You're going to get a new shell, all new guts, everything. So it should last us for quite a while. It has the reel with the cable on it. Had a few little minor issues with that, but nothing that will keep this thing from working for several years.
Okay.
Now, if we were using this thing every day, 8 hours a day, that would be a different story. But right now, it's being used as like emergency situations. When people they want to know about their taps, I can go in and clean line and take the camera car and run it through there and check their taps. And I found this tool is a very useful tool that we need to have.
And we are going to use our camera that we had replaced on we're going to transfer that over.
Yes, I think that's what they can do. They were talking about on the body of it, they were going to have to re-mill a whole new body for it, because the bearing's actually locked up and spun inside the other aluminum body, so it can't be used. But they can just transfer that new camera that we put on in 2015 to this car.
Okay.
Move to approve the camera car repairs from Key Equipment for $9,169.02.
I have a motion by Chuck. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second by Christie. Any further discussion? Not. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving on to resolutions, 2018-2075 Open Record Commission Policy.
I got to looking at this policy a while back because I kind of got to the point when someone might come in and ask for 5 pages of something. One time I would charge them, another time I wouldn't. I needed something concise and easy to follow, and what's here is really not. I talked to the league about something, not exactly this, but something else at one point, and they said it's very important to have a current policy. And as I said in the memo, this one is 30 years old plus. At least one of the statutes quoted is no longer, I looked it up and there's not even a number for that anymore. Basically what I did, I mean, a lot of it's the same. I just took out some repetition and did update with things like electronic and that kind of thing. Honestly, I don't get a lot of requests, and what we do get, a lot of times people just want it electronically filed, but I wanted something to follow and something to stick with and treat everyone the same. And I apologize that I didn't go through the old one and show what came out, but there was just so much. I also didn't like where you Didn't even contact someone unless the fees were gonna be over $50. I don't personally wanna do all the legwork and then have them say, I'm sorry, I don't want to pay for it. And so really my policy has been to get the money up front to let people know how much it'll be. The only time we don't is a lot of times lawyers will need some information and I'll send them a bill. But they're always
Trust
good about
lawyers. Are you kidding me?
paying. Almost all of them have paid. Well, okay, they did eventually. There was a couple I had to.
Okay.
But I don't know if you have any questions.
No, but I commend you for going over some of these ordinances and bringing them up to date. We really
We
appreciate that.
We could probably redo most of that policy book, but a little bit at a time.
Yes, any bit helps. Thank you.
I move to approve Resolution 2018-2075.
I have a motion by Chuck. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second by Keaton. Any further discussion? Not all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to the manager's report.
Got some great news here about 4:30 this afternoon that I'm really excited to share with you. We have submitted our application for the new runway as of today, so to FAA. So that's great. So now we have to sit and wait until they approve it. So it'll be good.
Oh, I thought you, the great news, they approved it.
No, but we got it submitted. It was
Boy,
submitted
was
before
that
the
a teaser.
deadline. So yeah, really good. I know Ron put in a lot of time on it. We put on a lot of time with our airport consultant, and tried to keep the airport advisory board kind of informed of what we were doing. So it was really exciting to have that submitted. The other exciting thing that's going on, you'll notice the piles of food plus other items that are happening. We're doing a Food Plus drive with our city employees, kind of patterned after what the county employees are doing. Our goal is 20 items per employee between October 15th and November 30th. That's a little bit higher than the per employee ratio of what the county has. Theirs comes out to be about 16.67 items per employee, so we set our bar a little bit higher. One of the things the county is doing is they're doing their drive 3 times throughout the year, and so that would equate to 60 items. Well, we decided that getting close to that would be okay, and they're offering incentives of holidays if they reach those goals each time. So we decided to do a similar incentive, and for every 20 items or $20 that employees bring in, then they would receive 4 hours of personal leave off, up to 24 hours of personal leave, or 3 days, very similar to what the county is doing. So we're pretty excited. Our time frame is a little bit shorter, but we hope that it'll be a good thing. All the donations will go to the Cloud County Resource Center, so we are excited to help out our community in that way. And we did challenge the Cloud County Health Center employees, and today I did receive a phone call from Dave Garnis, and they have accepted the challenge. So we'll see how that turns out. So we'll know by the end of November how that goes. Are there any questions? I guess I do need to thank Commissioner Lamberts for giving us the suggestion, and thank the department heads for their willingness to vet it through and make sure that it was a good fit for our team, and for willing to take on the challenge. Any questions for me this time?
Nope.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner's report.
She good? Okay, she's done. I've had a few people come to me and report various things that are eyesores in town, and I'm just going to come right out and name one of them, and it's 10th and Valley. I went over 15 vehicles that I counted that I could see, no tags, and the neighbor said they switch tags and drive different vehicles, but it looks like they're running a salvage yard in their front yard. So I think that needs to be taken care of tomorrow, and that just needs to be gone. Whatever the procedure is needs to start tomorrow, because that is a shame.
I can address that. We've started that procedure.
Okay, good.
It takes a long time for me to tow a vehicle off of private property. You can't just go in there and do it.
Yeah.
There's state laws that regulate that.
Okay.
We started that procedure about 20 days ago, and we still got on the inoperable. But the problem with these kind of properties is you're chasing them all the time. You you send them a picture for one vehicle being inoperable, and they take a tag off another and put it over there, and that's when you need police help,
Yeah,
basically,
yeah.
to get that sorted out. But we've been working on that. We've got
Okay,
several
good.
complaints on it, and it's a procedure, and if they want to fight you, it can last a while.
Yeah.
And that's usually what happens with these kind of things. So,
Yeah.
but we have started working on that, and we've got police going over there. We're going over there. We're taking pictures. We're sending notices on inoperables. But you go there on one, and that inoperable moved, and then you can't tell if the tag's there. And I can't walk on private property just to walk on there.
Yeah.
Without a search warrant. So there's all kinds of procedural things that you have to do. So this doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
But I have talked to the main complainer, and we're in the process. We're
Yeah.
working on it, so hopefully we can get some satisfaction here.
Okay, thanks, Bruno. Appreciate it.
I had similar concerns. You saw this, I'm glad to hear we're working on that. I also wanted to thank Amy and the city for being willing to step up and work towards some of these items for the Resource Center. I think we all know that resources in our community can be pretty limited, but I really appreciate the effort and look for opportunities to be good community stewards. I think stewardship's an important thing, so hopefully we can set the standard, maybe not only have other folks accept the challenge, maybe inspire some other organizations to join in or to do something like that. So thank you.
Christie?
After hearing the concerns about the traffic issues on 18th Street, is that something that we're going to follow up on and look into?
Yeah, we're looking into getting a device that we can put up on a signpost. And what it does is it checks vehicle speed 24/7. The problem we're having as far as the department goes is we're short-handed. So we end up with a lot of times one person working, so we don't have a lot of time to sit and deal with the traffic because they're busy taking calls and then following up on cases. So this device can kind of do that for us, and then it records how fast vehicles are going, so we know where we need to focus our attention as far as having an officer sit with the LiDAR or radar unit. So that's, and other than that, right now all we can do is extra patrol until we get that.
Do we still have those signs that are that tell what your speed is? That didn't we used to have one of those that was
A little trailer.
Yeah, a little trailer that we could use.
We have one.
Could I mean that's something we could do right now, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know what it takes. I mean, I'm saying stuff that I don't even know what I'm talking about, but if we could do that now, I would. That sounds like a big problem. So anything we can do to address it is.
The only thing I know, it's all over town though. I mean,
Yeah.
as far as the complaints, I mean, stop signs, speeding, it's all over town. I mean, not just up on West 18. So we're trying to get everywhere.
Yeah.
And I can show you a log of traffic stops. I mean, I can go through page after page after page just to get back to June. So, I mean, the officers are out doing everything they can.
So do you think that means that the tickets aren't serving the deterrence
That's probably a
any
lot to
longer?
do with it. Because I did talk with our corporal that works evenings and nights, and he spent a lot of time up in that area, even when he's with the sheriff's office. And he said they write lots of tickets, and the speeding just continues.
Well, no, I'm usually, I don't speed. But I've noticed that I'm extra particularly careful about making sure that I'm not speeding if I see a law enforcement officer.
Exactly. Me too.
And it would seem like maybe that the hub truck parking area would give a good visual in a lot of different directions. I'm sure you guys don't know about that, but I think that increased presence, maybe not at the ticket, but maybe just the presence helps provide a bit of a deterrent too. But I appreciate it's hard to be two places at the same
Yep.
time.
Yeah, that's what we're dealing with, so.
Chief, is there any way of setting up cameras in certain ways where it could actually record, kind of like you see when they run stop signs or red lights, and they take a camera and take a picture of the car and the license plate? Is there any way that we could set maybe one or two and just kind of move around the different city and let people know that they could be recorded?
Yeah, we don't have a camera quite like that. I mean, as far as the officers wear cameras that can record, you know, when somebody runs a stop sign, but as far as putting something, mounting something somewhere, I mean, that's something we'd have to purchase.
I know, if we got that mobile unit, to me, if you could somehow get just a camera on that mobile unit so you could move it in different streets. And, the cost would probably be less than hiring an extra patrolman to go ahead and do it. And, if we could just throw a little scare into them and say, yeah, you're being photographed, and then start sending fines that way to people. Because
that
right
legal?
now, they're playing the odds that they can't be stopped.
Is that legal in Kansas? I know when I lived in Missouri, Columbia was going to do that, and there was lawsuits to who laid the egg on that whole thing.
I'm sorry, go ahead. With speeding tickets, that's probably not gonna fly. Red lights and stuff, that usually is okay, because
Yeah.
we've got that there, but,
Yeah.
Thankfully, like, we have a case pending right now that is probably gonna go to trial, and it's a guy, thankfully, Officer Coward's camera was on when this guy blew past him, and, he was running radar, and so Officer Coward had not only the wherewithal to get the camera, he also used his body camera to show what the speed was, because immediately this guy says, you got the wrong person, you got the wrong person. So with cameras and stuff like that, I don't think it would be very successful. However, with stop signs, because we have seen in municipal court a bit of an uptick in stop sign tickets, people running stop signs, and they've been some of our newer kids that have come into town for school. But let's see, so with stop signs and red lights, that's a little bit easier. With speeding, since they're mobile and it's very complicated, it becomes very technical. A lot of the times the speeding ticket that's going to stick is going to be one where we run that radar, we're sitting there, we pull them over and stop.
Sure, I would
we
think.
can mail you a ticket for like running a red light, running a stop
But I would think running stop sign, I think, even if they're on the stop signs, because to me, to get that speeds that they're talking about, they're running the stop signs. And if you catch them running the stop sign, so they at least have to stop at the stop sign, then that slows them down a little bit going as they go up. And maybe that's an avenue we can consider.
What does it take to put a speed bump in? Those are really effective at getting me to slow down.
The only downfall on that street would be a snow.
True that, yeah.
I mean, we'd have to do like a
That
mobile
makes
one where we could lay it
sense.
down, but yeah, pull it out.
Take it out.
Or
Didn't even
spikes.
think of that.
I mean, yeah, I know there people we're missing, but there's a lot that we are getting. So
Yeah.
it's-
We'll slowly weed them out.
Yeah, because the more tickets they get, they're going to end up with their license suspended.
Yep, yep.
And if we see them driving, we can pull them over just on sight.
Yeah.
While we see them.
Well, thank you for your consideration of that.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Citizens arrest.
I was thinking about that when I seen it. Yeah, what is it when they know snow?
Anything else, Christie?
No, that's it.
I have nothing. Move on to staff comments.
Just want to give you a little update as we head into the fall stuff for recreation. As you know, we had our first sand volleyball league this year. Started out real promising when I get everything together, and then in the last week before we started, it kind of crumbled a little bit. We ended up having 4 teams because we had 7 teams back out in the last week. Just not enough people on their individual teams. So the interest was there. We could have had easily 11 teams as well from out of town as well. But the 4 teams, they had a blast. Very successful for them. They were very much appreciative and thanked me several times for not only putting it on, but the new facility as well. Don't really have an answer for the drop in teams like I expected. Bad time of year, bad day.
whatever it may be. So we're going to look at some different options and possibly even a spring, plan on a spring league to see what happens there. Because the interest is there, it's just a matter of finding out what's going to work best. We picked up flag football this year, took it over from Derek Hiddle. We had over 130 total players, more than 14 teams. So that was a big kickoff for the city taking over that. Special thanks to the high school for letting us use their turf football field for all our games. The kids absolutely loved it. That's all they talked about for the first few weeks, from what I was overhearing. We'll plan on continuing to utilize that as well. Women's volleyball has started up. We're about halfway through their league. We are up in teams again this year, kind of bounced back from last year. So we have 8 total teams this year, and we play also at the elementary school. So another thank you to the school district for letting us use that. Youth soccer also just finished up. We had more kids this year than we ever had, 160 roughly. The Cloud County soccer program was our coaches. There was our refereeing. They were handling the start of the game, the blowing the air horn, stuff like that, with the head coach, Coach Long. But they did an absolutely fantastic job of being involved constantly. The interaction with the kids, watching them, was an awesome sight, and obviously having that enthusiasm, the kids just eat it up and enjoy their time as well. We're getting ready to, at the sports complex, we're getting ready to install our last set of grant purchased bleachers on the K-18 field. Getting ready to pour concrete this week and get those installed here in the next, hopefully, week. Same style and everything as we've already been putting in. So Brant Hutchison's been a vital part of the bleacher renovation. And as of right now, this will be the last grant probably for a while that bleachers will do. But special thanks to him. A couple other projects we're working on. There's some need for some major upgrades for our scoreboards out there. The ones we've had been there 15 plus years. And we've already replaced one on the Pee Wee field through my budget purchase. And we've been beginning discussions with both the high school and college for their support and interest in helping us improve those renovations. Not only with the scoreboard and particularly coming up at the big scoreboard on Doyen, which is not a cheap piece of equipment, but it's pretty much shot where we can't even use it, transmit anything in the way the control panel and everything wireless now, and the company doesn't handle scoreboards anymore, so they are no help, even though they're still in Salina. It needs replaced completely, so we're looking at some different options through discussions with the high school and the college, and getting sponsorships to hopefully cover all the costs of that stuff. But to echo Mr. Wallmeyer on, but the relationship between, especially my department, and the discussions we've had with the college and the high school have been tremendous. They're all supportive in everything that needs to be done, and that relationship will work for all parties involved, because then obviously they use a lot of the facilities out there as well, so they understand that, and they see they have a vesting interest in keeping those facilities operational. So, one other thing, just kind of what we're looking at doing through the recreation department to involve the community wellness. We're looking at options for continued walking trails throughout town, and also looking at options for a, best way to describe it is an outdoor fitness area, Muscle Beach, if you will, without the weights. But it's kind of all body weight fitness area. We're looking at options of bringing that into Concordia, specifically through grant operations. So the company I've already worked with pretty much said we're a shoe-in for a $30,000 grant through them, and that's who we'd be purchasing it through. And then we're tracking down some other grants, some other funding options to hopefully move forward within the next year. So,
very good. Where would you do that at?
Ideally, right across the college, inside the walking trail now, inside the Heritage Trail. the company specifically, they like connecting walking trails to this type of area. So the spot in mind was what's still owned by the college, so we would have to get permission through the college. And I spoke to Matt Bouchard a little bit about it, even though he's not the yes or no guy for it, but we'll be in those conversations here pretty quick. And even with the grant, which I have to turn in within 2 weeks, which is another week and a half from here, even if we get that grant, it's not binding. It'll be ours all the way through 2019. If not, it's turned back over. So it's
Interesting.
in my mind, go for it. If we can come up with the money later, come up with other grants, and fund it, fantastic. If not, we'll look something else.
Okay, good.
Where again were you looking to put
Right
that?
across from the college, inside the walking trail, right where the head of the walking trail is, would be ideal.
On the north end,
It would be the northwest corner.
northwest corner?
So is
Where
that
that's
where
already
they were
already
going to
flat,
have
and it's
the
out of
parking
flood
lot?
area,
Okay,
which I assume. Yeah. But
Okay.
yeah, it's already fairly flat. We talked about a parking lot there, which there should be still room for parking lot and facility. So
Chris, I really appreciate the effort. I think there's a lot of opportunity for that collaboration where this high school and college use these different facilities as well, being city facilities, and just I really appreciate the opportunity to look for some of those collaborations. I think it's one of the best ways we're going to have to get things done moving forward.
yeah. And those, like I said, those items aren't really small ticket items. The other one which I forgot to mention was the outfield fence of the big field. We replace 4 or 5 posts a year, and it's time to replace all of it. College already has a private donor ready to roll on it. Will probably cost us a little bit, but we're also looking for some other grant funding for help with that as well. But yeah, both discussions with both parties were very, very positive and supportive.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
any other staff comments? If not, we'll move to adjourn and then to a study session. A motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn to a study session.
I have a motion by Chris. Do you have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. We're adjourned to the study session.
Are we going to do that here? Let's do
Might as
that here.
well.